The old me, the unhealed me, the part of me that was still addicted to the destination, the part of me that was still addicted to doing it all, the part of me that was still addicted to it being hard, the part of me that was still the high achiever and I need to do this and I need to do it myself and it needs to be hard. That part of me is fully here, but she's not running the show anymore. I'm like, no, wait a second, there's a next cut. This part of me understands energy over strategy fully. This part of me understands that my time is so valuable. This part of me understands that the best thing that I can do is do what I love, which is create content, write books, be on podcasts, do talks, be in my community, train my people. Like, this part of me knows that. And it was this permissioning of like, I'm not going to miss the point here, and I'm going to allow the journey to feel what the quote unquote destination feels like.
Welcome to the School of Becoming podcast. I'm your host, Tracy Litt. Love, but I also got to experience her talent and what she is doing in the world to make such a massive, massive impact and contribution. Samantha Skelly is the founder and CEO of Pause Breathwork. She is the host of the Can't Be Contained podcast, which is just a fucking phenomenal name, and I'm obsessed with it. She's an international speaker, a best-selling author, and she is someone who I love more and more and more every moment that we get to be in one another's presence. So welcome to the show, Sam.
Thank you so much. It's so good to be here. I can't wait to drop in with you. It's going to be such a treat. The first time I met you, I was like, ah, I'm like, I'm so excited to be friends with you.
Yes.
So yeah,
I
let's
feel the
freaking go.
same. Yeah, it's amazing. And there's so many spaces we get to go to. But one of the things that I love the most is that we share a mission. You know, I know that you and I both know, we are spiritual, energetic beings in this human experience, right? We're souls in these meat suits. And when we each individually spread that message in the way that we do, the rise of the collective is so undeniable. And it is so exciting and it is so palpable that I just want to start with that, because not everyone truly embodies that knowing. There's a lot of dialogue around, yes, okay, we're energetic beings and human experiences. But from where I sit, talking shit is over, and you have to be at the level of embodiment, because if not, the impact isn't being made. So I'm just curious what comes up for you right out of the gate when I say that it's basically embodiment time, party people.
We are at the embodiment party. Everyone is
Yes.
welcome, but you must be
Yes.
embodied. Yeah, you know, embodiment is definitely a buzzword in our industry for sure, right? Of like embodiment, embodiment, embodiment. And embodiment's a frequency. Embodiment's this vibration. And there's the idea of what embodiment is, but then there's just like the felt sense of the joy and the privilege it is to be in these bodies and to experience all these sensations and all of these intelligence that our body is speaking to us moment by moment by moment by moment. And for me, my story with embodiment was a rocky one because I had such intense anxiety and such intense eating disorders for the majority of my life. Like I grew up as a dancer and a child actress. I was a stunt double on Smallville for many years. And so I was in entertainment for many, many years. And as you can imagine, that comes with a lot of rejection. That comes with a lot of, worthiness stuff. And so I was like fully in that soup of I am not worthy, right? I was like, my story, I'm not good enough. I'm not worthy. Actually, the other day, I've always been an avid journaler, and the other day I was reading a journal from years ago that was in our library, and I'm like, who wrote this? Like, who wrote all these things about how much she hates her body and how much she hates this and how anxious she like? It felt like a very different version of myself, and so I was going through this experience of extreme anxiety, lots of eating disorder stuff. But then I knew different. I was like, oh yeah, no, personal development. No, you got to be in your body. So there was a chasm, there was this gap. And so it was definitely a rocky landing back into my body, which required a lot of safety. Like it required a lot of, hey, you're not going to die if you feel your feelings. And like that's like so much of the work that you're such a gangster at is like getting people to increase their capacity to feel and increase their felt sense, you know, and that I believe is one of our greatest superpowers that we can possibly have, because the intelligence is not in the mind. The intelligence is fully in the body, but we have to land there. We have to get in our bodies in order to actually have access to this Narnia that exists. You know, it's like we have the capacity to have heaven on earth if we have the courage to actually feel.
I love the way you just said Narnia, because it is like
I'm like,
when
where'd
you
that come from?
every word is like this incantation, and it's so palpable because you are embodied, right?
Mm,
You are embodied, and in order for any beautiful listener, in order to be embodied, you do have to be in your body. That is like step one prerequisite in order to have an embodied experience. So I want to go back a little bit because you started talking about it when you were a dancer. Take us back and give us a glimpse of Sam, aged like 5 or 6. What was
oh my
she?
God. Well, you know what's so interesting? When I was growing up, I really believe like our soul has a frequency, and that soul frequency is so palpable. And if we do enough work, we can actually feel and remember it, right? So I remember the essence of like being 3 and just like magnetic and expressive and dancing and singing, and 4 still then. And then 4.5, my parents got a divorce and my shit got shut down, you know? So it was that time period where I'm like, I'm not safe. People who love me leave me, and I need to like contain my stuff. And so 5 was kind of this interesting, like, the world is scary and where's my dad? You know? And then my mom, when I was like 7, she like put me in a ton of therapy. And the joke in my family is like the therapy like overcorrected me, because then I just went even more expressive than I was before I was 3. But it was like I went through this time period where like I was so shut down and I was so shy and I like wouldn't talk, and my mom's like something's broken, like something's not right here. And it was just because there wasn't, you know, that safety. And then after therapy, I got back to that feeling of like aliveness again, you know, aliveness and expression and dancing and performing. And then later on in life, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23 times, that's when I was in sort of my like eating disorder times, where I was on over, you know, on 50 diets in less than 4 years. I was, you know, constantly doing like fitness competitions to like mask the fact that I hated my body. I was always like every morsel of food I was paying attention to. I was overeating, I was under eating, I was over exercising. And so it was just like this whole big thing. And then after the healing of that, then it sort of got back to that original soul essence again of, oh, wait, this is who I am when I'm not in trauma. This is who I am when I'm not in this frozen part inside of me.
Yeah, okay. So first of all, I need to give like such a depth of gratitude to your mom,
Mm,
for your mom to be conscious enough to recognize what was happening in you and then delivering what was available to her as a solution.
yeah,
Like, that's extraordinary.
totally.
That's
Totally.
extraordinary.
Yeah.
So I just really,
Yeah, she's amazing. She's
yeah,
amazing. Like
yeah.
yeah, and it's interesting because I think like to a certain degree, I think she blames herself a lot for like, you know, the divorce and all the things like, you know, that I'm sure moms go through. But I'm like, you know, mom, that was like a beautiful, the way you dealt with it was beautiful, and the way you continue to deal with it is beautiful. And, you know, after she got a, you know, a divorce from my dad, she met my now stepdad, who's been like the greatest blessing in my life, you know, meeting someone who's just like so amazing and took us on as his own. And my real dad was still very much in the picture, but they had a very fractured relationship. So, yeah, she definitely had the wisdom to go like, okay, this child needs some therapy. Let's figure this
Mhm.
out.
Yeah, and it resonates with me because it's funny, we're recording this and tomorrow a podcast conversation on our podcast with my daughter drops. And
What?
I was a single mother and she was 8 months old, and now she's almost 21 years old. And we talked all through the trauma stories and all of those things. And one of the things I actually say on that
Wow.
episode, which feels resonant right now, it's like, to all these beautiful listeners that are moms, right, that are listening to Sam's story. As moms, you will never be able to catch all the things that might be the moment that created the event where the trauma took place. Like, there is no world
No,
where we'll ever actually know that.
no.
Number two, in anyone's growth, healing, and evolution, I'm pretty sure, Sam, you're going to agree with this. It actually doesn't matter to discover the origin point of every fucking
Mm-mm.
thing. I think that's where people get very tripped
I
up
think
when
so
it comes
too.
to growth,
Yeah.
right? It's like stop going back and
Yeah.
reliving what's only a percentage of the actual memory in the first place. It's
Preach.
unhelpful, right? So, we are never going to prevent that for ourselves or our children because we have no idea what those impact moments actually are,
Yeah.
nor is it relevant. What's relevant is that we build this new world that you and I
Mhm.
are every day contributing to, of going, hey, we don't need catalyst. We evolved by choice, right?
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
recognize that the purpose of being a spiritual energetic being, having a human experience,
Mm.
is to go within, is to
Mhm.
heal, is to leave the mind and re-enter the body, is to shine and disco ball and just truly be as expressed as you possibly can.
Mhm.
And it's everything. It's literally the whole point. So it's like, as you were talking about your story and then your experience as an upper teen and moving
Yeah.
through, the eating disorders and then coming back, it's because your soul, and I've heard you talk about this, your soul was answering its objective. It was learning the lessons to come back into that wholeness, right? Because everything's a spiritual assignment. Whatever's presenting is a workshop of our soul's objective. So say
Yeah.
things about
Yeah,
that.
say things about that. Yeah, I was on a call earlier today with a client of mine, and she's going through a divorce. And I said to her, I said, there is a beautiful reason why this is happening right now, and you're
Mhm.
don't miss the point. Don't miss the point of what your soul is trying to learn right now. Don't rush through it. Don't like get out of your mind, get into your body, like allow yourself to actually soak in the lessons of this thing that is happening. And I truly believe that we create situations in our lives for our souls to be more self actualized and for us to, like, oh, I am that. That is me. And we are consciously and unconsciously creating these experiences for us to just know ourselves on such a deep level. And there's I had some like really unfortunate shitty news the other day. And I got the phone call and I had the conversation and I'm like, that fucking sucks. Like, oh my God, that sucks. And I was like, I let myself like feel the things for 20 minutes and just like let the sadness ripple through, let the anger ripple through, let the frustration ripple through, let the everything like just ripple through my body. And then I'm like, you know what? This is happening for me, for my soul to find a new way. Cause what this experience showed me is what the fuck I care about. And
Mm.
and I thought that that was the pathway of getting there, and it's not. So maybe it's this way and this way and this way. And then got into this place of like, oh my gosh, I now get to do it in my way. I now get to do it in a way that feels even more congruent and even more aligned with my soul. And I get my soul now gets to be on the board of directors, and this person's not deciding my next step in my career. I am now. So like it was this whole reckoning of just like, oh, I created this experience for myself to realize like I'm so powerful and I don't actually need that thing.
Mm.
So, yeah, it's like we are always creating opportunities for us to know ourselves deeper and for us to understand our potentiality and understand our power. And it is endless, 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 endless. And if we cannot miss the point by trying to rush through things that are hard and we can really feel them, there is so much to learn. I learn nothing from success ever.
Mhm.
Everything that I learn is from the hardest stuff. Even when my ego's like, I can't take it anymore, my soul's like, bring it on.
It's so true. And I have such appreciation for you saying this part right now because there are such incredible women that are listening to this conversation, right, on this show. And I think everybody thinks that they understand that failure and success lives on the same street, right? It's kind of like when you post thoughts become things, but then you don't think about what you're thinking about. Failure and success live on the same street. You feel me? It's like
Yeah.
that's the kind of shit that where I am in 2025 is I have zero tolerance if you are not walking your walk. I'm not. It's over. But we don't actually talk enough about that to be the expanders for all the people that we are lucky enough to touch, that we are lucky enough to be in proximity with. Really listener let land that Sam just said she learns nothing from her success. And beautiful, Sam, you have a tremendous amount of success, external and internal, and it's beautiful and it's holistic and you got yourself there. But that's not where the juice is.
No,
That's not where the juice is, right? It's like
no.
whatever is presenting is the opening, it's the opportunity. If you are conscious enough to go, well, it's almost like when I experience that, because I'm obviously a highly conscious woman too, and something presents inside, I kind of go like this, "Mwah." Like, what? What is God's for? What? Show me what you gotta show me, right? And
Yeah.
and then you literally move through the world.
Yeah.
You're on a completely different plane.
Yeah, it's like there are those 2 parts, like, when I got that phone call, there was a part of me that's like,
Mm.
"Fuck!" And then the other part of me was like, "I'm so stoked to see how this is gonna be a trampoline to my next level." Like, I just know it. I know it because every single anything that's happened, whether it's business, personal, whatever it is, there is the next level is always so much better, but we gotta get through all the muck, the stuck, the residue in order to like really get there. And we have to use that energy to get there. Not get lost in it, not identify with it, not go, woe is me, oh, this happened. Not victim. Like, no. But let's use the momentum, let's use the pain as contrast and really allow ourselves to rise into our next level. And yeah, you're right. I love that. Pain or success and what did you say? Success and failure
Failure
are
and
on the
success.
same side of the street. It's
Right.
amazing. It's so, so true. Like anyone who is doing anything amazing in the world, right? If we like look on Instagram and we go like, oh, look at all those people doing cool things. All I think about is like, dang, those people have got incredible capacity. They've got courage because I
Mhm.
know in order to get there what it takes.
1,000%.
Like,
Yeah,
it's
good.
like it's guttural. It
It
takes everything.
it does, and it's also, and again, in the spirit of like, okay, we're energetic beings having a human experience, and none of this is real, and we're all going to die, which is something I like to think about all the time because it's true. It really allows us to um, just experience everything with an open heart, but so detached at the same time,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that is money right there. Like, not being attached. Again, I'm gonna use this example because it's real, but I felt myself going into, like, the attachment of, like, what would have happened if that went through, and like,
Mhm.
"Oh, what did I miss out on?" It's like, I don't know that. I have no idea how that would have happened. Who knows? It could have been the worst thing ever. But when we allow ourselves to just remove the attachment to how it needs to be, we just get to show up fully authentically. I was actually thinking about this the other day with one of my friends. In my last relationship, I was so attached to it working. It was the wrong relationship. It was not, we were not aligned. It was not a great relationship, but I was like, this must work. And because I had the attachment, I didn't show up authentically. I didn't speak my truth. I wasn't transparent. I didn't like advocate for myself. I didn't stand up for myself because I was so freaking attached to this is the person that I must be with forever. In my marriage, I am clearly committed to him and I am obsessed with him and I never want to see us ever end. But I don't have that attachment because I'm taking a stand for what's best for him, what's best for me, what's best for the unit every single day. And that requires me to say the uncomfortable thing and risk something.
Because ultimately, in your highest, and deepest of truths, you know that everything is highest good. And that highest good is not outcome based, it's how we
Yes.
experience the journey, which makes me want to actually say out loud. You said this somewhere, and I literally wrote it down verbatim because and I even said last night I was listening to you because I listened to you. And David said, "Who are you listening to?" I was like, "Oh, Sam, she's gonna be on the podcast tomorrow." Da 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 da. And then I had heard you say this. I was like, "Holy shit, listen to this." So I literally wrote it verbatim. If the journey doesn't feel like the destination, you are doing something wrong.
Yeah.
Ah, like, okay,
Yeah.
that is just on
Mhm.
every level.
Mm.
That to me encompasses what it feels like when someone recognizes the law and the truth of highest good. It doesn't mean it always feels
Mm.
good. It doesn't mean, like in the examples you're giving about the
Yeah.
phone call you got, it doesn't mean that it went the way you wanted. It doesn't mean the outcomes were there. It means that you understand the fucking point,
Totally.
right?
Totally.
Right. So
Totally.
you just, because that's your quote. So you just say more words about if the journey doesn't feel like the destination, you're doing something wrong.
Yeah, that came from a time period in my life where I was operating from a place of destination addiction, of when
Mm.
I get there, the when then game, right? When I lose 15 pounds, when I make $1 million a year, when I marry the person, when this happens, when this happens, when this happens. And I was always moving the goalpost. Oh, I lost 15 pounds. Oh, but now we need to lose 15 more. Oh,
Yeah.
I made $1 million in my business. Oh, but now we need two. And it's like you're delaying your happiness every
Mm.
single day by doing that.
Yeah.
And so the whole idea of like, what if I didn't lose the forest for the trees? What if I enjoyed the journey and crafted the journey and organized the journey to allow myself to feel so fucking good that I don't even care about the destination because I'm enjoying the journey so much. So, how that relates to business for me now is I got to the end of 2024 and I said to myself, I had a come to Jesus moment and I said, all right, Sam Skelly, like truly, where were you at this year?
Mm.
From a fulfillment, not a revenue, not a profit, that doesn't matter. Fulfillment. I was like, 6. Truly, it's like 6. And I was like, okay, like what would it look like and who would I have to be and what would I have to create and what are the decisions that I would have to make for me to be at a 10? And it was so clear. It was just like, you need to get out of your business and you need to go full-time content creator, speaker, podcaster, because that's the only thing that you love. And ironically, that is actually the biggest needle mover in your life. Like when you do that, people find out about breathwork and then they're like, ooh, breathwork, I love breathwork. And then they become breathwork facilitators. Like that is the highest. It's so fascinating where it's like the thing that I love the most is actually the best thing for the business. But ironically, what did I do last year? Farting around in P&Ls, being a
Mm.
CEO. And so I was like, no, I'm not playing this. Homie's not going to play this game anymore, And I was like, I need to have the self-respect to actually hire myself a president to run
Mm.
my company. Like
Mm.
someone who that's their zone of genius. They live and breathe operations and leadership and culture and keeping people accountable and running the day to day. Like they love that shit as much as I love creating content or being here with you. This is my highest joy. I'm like, I could do this all day long. And so it required me to like get out of my own way and respect myself enough and value my business enough to go, I'm going to go find that person and I'm going to find the best possible person I could possibly find with the who's so aligned and has so much experience and da 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 da. And so I did. And funny enough, this person actually got introduced to me a year ago. I randomly met a dude on a plane and he's like, you remind me so much of this employee that I had who was amazing. If I started another company tomorrow, she would be my first hire. And anyway, it's just been like, wow, I loved myself enough and respected myself enough and valued my zone of genius enough for me to go from a 6 to a 10 in the category of fulfillment and really enjoy every day I spend working on this thing called pause breath work. And it's a funny story as well. Like 2 days ago, she was like, "Oh my gosh, you're podcasting with Tracy Litt." I am a huge Tracy Litt fan.
Yeah.
And I was like, there we go. See, she is perfect for the role.
I
But anyway,
received that.
it's like the old me, the unhealed me, the part of me that was still addicted to the destination, the part of me that was still addicted to doing it all, the part of me that was still addicted to it being hard, the part of me that was still the high achiever and I need to do this and I need to do it myself and it needs to be hard. That part of me is fully here, but she's not running the show anymore. I'm like, no, wait a second. There's a next cut. This
Mm.
part of me understands energy over strategy fully. This part of me understands that my time is so valuable. This part of me understands that the best thing that I can do is do what I love, which is create content, write books, be on podcasts, do talks, be in my community, train my people. Like this part of me knows that. And
Yeah.
it was this permissioning of like, I'm not going to miss the point here, and I'm going to allow the journey to feel what the quote unquote destination feels like.
Oh, okay. I want like 1,000 microphones to drop. So a few things. Number one, that resonates deeply for me personally as a peer, as a founder of a company. Also had a similar experience. Also are literally have a new person that's going to be running all of those aspects
Mm-hmm.
of it because I was still too in it and touching everything and doing it. And as recovered from the control freak, which was my adaptive behavior my whole life, that I perceived I was, last year showed me where there was still some pretty strong
Yeah.
tethers
Yeah.
that had to go. And
Mm-hmm.
so I thank you for what you're saying because it just really like it dropped something deeper for me.
Mm.
And for you, beautiful listener, I want you to ask yourself that question, right? Number one, it's safe to be honest with yourself.
Mm-hmm.
It's really
Ooh,
important. I think we can all
yeah.
talk about things like personal responsibility, but there's a deeper part of that that I call the honesty behind the honesty,
Yeah, baby.
right? So, like, go into really realizing what is my truth? What is my honesty? And what would a 10 in the fulfillment scale, on the fulfillment scale, look like and feel
Mm-hmm.
like? And
Mm-hmm.
then what choices get to be made to align to that answer?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes. Gorgeous. Okay.
It makes it
Go ahead.
simple.
It
You know,
does.
it's like, and even if here's the part of that exercise,
Mm,
write the thing down even if you're afraid of it.
mm.
Sometimes we're like, okay, what choices would I make? We only write the ones down that are like safe. No, I wrote down that I am gonna hire a freaking president to run my company. I was like, oh God. Ugh. But the second I did it, it was like boom, 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 boom. Oh yeah, this person, this person, this person. No, it's my intuition knew that this woman was gonna run my company one day a year ago. I just didn't have the courage to say yes to it yet.
Yeah.
So when
Yeah.
I wrote it down, I was like, "Ooh." And then, other things that I wrote down of like, what is that 10, what would that 10 be? What is the criteria for that 10? I'm like, I'm not going on Slack every single freaking day. I'm just sick of it. I'm sick of going on Slack.
I just
I don't
love
want
that.
to be in every conversation. I don't
Yeah.
want to be stop tagging me in things. Like
Yes.
if it's about content or community, tag me. I don't care about
Right.
anything else.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Yes. 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 Oh, I
You
love
know,
it.
and this is the whole part of like energy. I interviewed James Wedmore on the podcast a couple weeks ago, and we were talking about energy conservation.
Mm.
If we had like if we treated our energy like we treat money, how much better would our mental health be?
Mm.
It's like I have 100 units a day. Let's just say this. I have 100 units of the most powerful, potent, energetically rich energy. Where am I trading that? Like being here with you is like a hell yes trade. I'm like, oh God, it's so giving. Because like I'm giving you 10, you're giving me 20 back. I'm like, this is so good, right? It's a good
Yeah.
trade. It's
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
Bitcoin.
It is. It
But it's like, okay, I am going to go in Slack for 2 hours and fuck around with trying to figure out all of these little things that are not my zone of genius. I'm giving 20 and I'm getting nothing. I'm getting negative back. You know what I'm saying? So it's like,
Yes.
but that is someone's zone of genius is going in Slack and figuring out all those things. So it's just about really valuing our currency, which is our energy, which is the most valuable thing that we possibly have,
Yes.
you
Yes.
know?
Yes. 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 And it opens up the ability to learn how to receive and learn how to allow that level of help and support, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which none of us are born. I have yet to meet a woman out of the gate who's a phenomenal receiver because it's just not how we were raised to
Yeah.
be or how our society,
Yeah.
supported us in. And that's part of it. For those of you listening that are, you have your thing, you are a founder, you are a business owner. That what you just said, Sam, when you were like, and I wrote down president, and I was like, I'm gonna do this. And like, holy shit, I'm gonna do this. Like that feeling, that's a growth edge where you are both so fucking pumped and excited and slightly terrified and scared. That moment is like, okay, that's the blueprint, that's the direction,
Yeah.
that's the path.
Yeah.
And then you give your body the safety that it needs to move forward in that decision that feels hella scary and
Yes.
unknown, right? And
Yes.
that
Yes.
becomes like the how do we do it? That's how we do
Mm.
it. That's how we do
Mm.
it.
Mhm. Day
Um,
by day by day by day. It's
day
like
by
we're
day.
training our body. You know,
Mhm.
it's like the word faith in Jewish
Mhm.
means in the means training. That's
Mhm.
what it is. Like if faith means, did you know that?
Yes, I'm Jewish.
Okay, right.
Yeah.
It's that means training. So it's like
Mhm.
training our faith. That is like that we're training our somatic systems. We're training our bodies. And like faith is a muscle that we get to train every single day. And it's
Yes.
like we train it against something that's invisible. And that's where it trips up the mind. You know, it's like our minds can go like we can train at the gym to like make our muscle, like we can train at the gym and we see that and it makes sense. But it's like when we train these parts of us, these somatic parts of us, these energetic, we're training against something invisible. So we have to have the vision to go, that's where I'm going, and I'm going to train this body to go in that direction, even if I can't see it yet.
And what you just two parts, and I'm so glad because I wanted to ask you a few things about breath work specifically. That vision becomes a North Star, right? Becomes
Mm,
like that's part of our feminine energy. It goes, this is what's on the heart, this is the desire, this is the vision, this is the call. And then we like send it off and we
yeah,
let it be with the waitress
yeah.
in the sky. And then it's a function of using this beautiful mechanism in between our ears very little and very intentionally, right? The mind is the least vital component of this entire vessel. We turn it on when we want to think in alignment with what we want to create, who we want to be, right? And what we want to feel. And otherwise, we allow the 60 to 70,000 thoughts to just drift on by because the heart beats and the eyes blink and the mind produces thoughts. And learning how to
Mm.
detach from that is fucking critical,
Yes,
right?
yes. Oh my gosh.
Now, with breath work, because breath is the mechanism to the body, the first thing I did in my whole growth journey was tattoo breathe on my wrist. That was the
Oh my
first
God, I have it on
real.
my wrist too.
You
Did we know
stop
this?
it. We did not know
Oh
that.
my God, stop.
Is that on your left hand?
Yes.
Mine too.
Shut up.
I can't even. That's great. Okay. That's the first thing I did when I
Oh, I
started
love
my
it.
journey.
I love it.
Thank you. I love yours too.
Oh my gosh. That's so wild.
Because I felt like, and it was intuitive then, now I know. But then it was just like, when I remember to breathe,
Mm,
all is well. So my
mm-hmm,
question for you is,
mm-hmm.
chat with me for the benefit of the women that are listening. Why is breath work so insanely powerful? The science behind what
Mm-hmm.
it does.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm.
What is it doing when we tap in that way?
Well, I want to reflect on what you shared around shutting the brain off and
Mm.
not thinking, right? Gosh. If we had the ability to do that, we would live exceptional lives. Well, guess what? We actually do have the ability to do that, and it's called breath,
Right.
right? We only overthink because we underbreathe. We overthink because we underbreathe.
Woo!
That's it. It's like the second I'm overthinking, all I'm telling myself is, dude, you're not breathing. We breathe 23,000 breaths a day. How many of those are intentional? Maybe 3. Take 3 deep breaths. And that's even a stretch for most people. They don't even do that. So it's like, what if every single time we felt heady, which kicks up anxiety in the body, which is puts us into like a vicious loop of like thought body, thought body, thought body. We just went, oh, wait a second, nothing's wrong. Nothing's wrong. We're all gonna die, and I'm just not breathing.
Yes.
I'm just not breathing. I'm not giving my body the right information. My body thinks you're dying, so it's thinking about all the things that are going to kill me. That reel didn't get enough views, this email coming in, that client didn't renew, that person said no when I went on their podcast, whatever, right? It's like we're not telling the body you're safe, you're safe, you're safe, you're safe, you're safe. So the body is going into a sympathetic nervous system, fight or flight, and saying you're going to die, you're going to die, you're going to die, and let me show you all the things that are going to kill you. Right? So we have to communicate yo, you're good. Look at this house. Look at this roof. You've got fresh water. You have a husband that loves you. You have this beating heart. You have all these friends. Like, you are safe, you know? And like, our logical minds know this, but there's little frozen in time pieces of us that have yet to be thought out that don't know this. So we have to communicate that to them. So even just like, just start breathing, like allow the breath to come in and out of your body. What that's going to do immediately, if your exhale is longer than your inhale, is begin to activate that parasympathetic nervous system that says you're safe, the rest, the digest. And then from there, then we can think a little bit more clearly. Then we can go, oh, there's more space here, right? There's more space for me to realize that I'm not dying because my body is in a regulated state. But what tends to happen is like we just keep riding the roller coaster of the response.
Mm-hmm.
And we just get wound and wound and wound and wound and wound. And we just get so bound up energetically. Our thoughts get so intense. If you're a highly sensitive person, I'm sure you are if you're listening to this podcast, you're not only are you taking on information from your own flesh, but you're taking on information from the collective. And we get ourselves into states of high anxiety, depression, overwhelm, anxiety, and we wonder what the heck's going on.
Mm-hmm.
And so the first place to come to is the breath, always, 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 always. And there's breath work for relaxation. There's breath work for transformation. Breath work for relaxation is the kind of breath work we do when we just want to give our nervous system that information, like, you're safe, everything's going to be okay. And then breath work for transformation is that deeper breath work that you may have seen on online somewhere, where you're lying down, you've got a blindfold on, and you're really getting into those deeper frozen parts in our system, unthawing them and letting them remember that they're whole.
It's like right now, I don't even want to talk because all I want to do is keep taking deep breaths because I'm so aligned with breathing. It's just, it's so luscious also when you really start to fall in love with breathing and you really allow it to be your go-to. It solves. It's the answer. It's such a solution in and of itself.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so beautiful.
It's our teacher, right? It's our teacher. It's the greatest teacher that we have. And one of the most beautiful things that we can learn is that we are our own drug. And for every point of pain, every point of suffering that exists in our body, we have the antidote, we have the intelligence, we have this internal pharmacy that is so readily available to heal us physically,
Yes.
emotionally, mentally, spiritually. It's like God gave us the ability to breathe, to heal, and we've just forgotten.
Yes.
And so when we look at our lives, we're like, wow, my life feels is very shallow. Well, how are you breathing? You know?
Yeah.
Start there. Start there. You don't need a vacation. You don't need a Prada purse. You don't need any of that shit. It's like, if you want to feel different, start with the breath.
Yes. And it's like we've forgotten. And also, we were up until now, we're in the consciousness revolution now, right? So now we have beautiful teachers and guides like you and I and many other gorgeous souls that are out there actually teaching the shit that no one ever taught us because it wasn't available to know.
Totally.
Right
Totally.
now, we have the science of it, we have the advancements, we have the technology, we have the accessibility. It's available to you, gorgeous listener, and you must, you must, because you deserve to feel alive and open and present and allowing, and connected to yourself, so you're able to connect with others. It's so vital. There's something else I was going to say before that just came back through. The other thing I want to acknowledge, when you talk about that deep breath work that you use for transformation, right? Where you're in like that full cycle breath and you're laying and you're not only obviously is that transformational because you are, to use your words, unthawing the frozen parts, and there's integration and there's release. And it's just like you are literally like shedding at the cellular level, and you get up from a session like that and you're like, what the
What just happened? Who am I? What's
I don't
going
know.
on
I was in the
here?
multiverse. I saw my, my great, great, great grandmother, my future, all the things.
Yeah.
The other thing that I want to underscore that I find to be profound about that type of breathwork experience, you finally come up against the parts of yourself that need to be transcended. You come up against, because again, like I said before, control was my adaptation, right? So when I laid down for something like that, I can actively be with myself and I can sense and hear my control. Like, don't sit too long. How long does it take? What did you do? Like you notice the ego come, and then it's like your responsibility to be with it and be like, okay, baby, no, we're good. We're safe. We're going to stay. We're going to sit. We're going to lay. We're going to breathe. And not only is it transformational because of what the breath is doing in its function, but the ability to sit with yourself, to come
Yeah.
up against
Yeah.
those
Yeah.
parts of
Yeah.
you, the
Yeah.
animal. It's like controlling the animal that we are and sitting there and be like, no, you're going to stay here
Yeah.
and you
Yeah.
are going to be in the discomfort and you are not going to get up and you are not going to think about what's for dinner and you are going to go in on this for yourself.
Yeah.
Those have been some of my most transcendent moments, is that edge.
Oh, it's so good. It's, Stoicism talks a lot about overcoming the urge to do a behavior that's not aligned, right? And I think so often people confuse their inner truth and inner wisdom with a feeling. And the feeling can say, "Oh no, we're not going to do this. We're just going to get up and get out of the room and not breathe."
Right.
But that's the pattern. That's not our truth. Like if we really feel into the vibration of that versus the vibration of just stay, which is quieter and underneath the hectic one.
Yes.
And so, so much of that is having the discernment to really understand what part of us is actually speaking to us. And am I going to listen?
Oh yeah, girl.
Because my feelings tell me to not breathe every day. It hasn't stopped me in 15 years of doing it every single day for at least 20 minutes. But there's not a time where the ego's like, nah, not today. Like every single time my mind's like, nah, fuck that.
Yes, yes, yes,
And
exactly.
you know what I mean? And I
I
run a
do.
breathwork company. I train people and still my mind's like, nah,
Yeah.
nah, we're good. We're
Yes.
good. So it's real. It's real.
It
It's real.
is.
It's real. So it's just about really, really understanding what part of me is speaking to me and having the discernment to acknowledge what is my truth versus what is my feelings.
Yeah, it's so spot on and so important. As everyone is listening, the ego and the biological wiring of the mind and the current imprint of your nervous system is not just going to one day wake up and be like, get it, queen, breathe all day, build those dreams, hire that
Yeah.
president, do
Yeah.
that thing, right? And this is where the quote, the work comes in, is the awareness to recognize exactly the way you're putting it. What is the truth, right?
Yeah.
What is the ego? What
Yeah.
is the soul?
Yep.
What is your ability to let the version of you that is currently existing in the time space reality where your vision has already made manifest, and how to let that version of you lead before your current reality represents
You got it.
that it's safe to do so. And that's where all the work comes in. That's why I love mine and your work collectively together, because it hits every aspect of what it really takes. It's just, it's awesome.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's that piece of self-awareness. It's so interesting. I was on a walk today and I love doing my like little one-to-one calls on walks because it's just, I don't know, I think better when I'm on a walk. And I was basically saying, like, my clients, like, do you just never have resistance? You just like get up and do shit all day long and you never, I was like, some days, some days, yes. Like if I'm like really in it and I'm like, but most days I am negotiating with the part of me that is trying to keep me small. I don't want to go in the cold plunge. I don't want to show up at 8:15 every single morning to do this. I don't want to do that. Like there is that part of me. But is like, is that the part of me that's going to build this beautiful mission and train all these people? No, that's the part of me that's like afraid of her own potential.
Yes.
She's terrified because it's like humans are freaking powerful. Like it's a fun thing to think about. Like if we would just put it in ratios for the mind, it's like we've tapped into 5% of our potential, maybe. And we've done some shit in our life. You know what I mean? But like, God's like, that's really cute, but like you are so much bigger still. But in order for that to be actualized and felt and fully realized, it's every day is a choice to not listen to that voice,
That's right. That's
you
right.
know?
Every day it's the ability to allow that next level version of you to lead, right? And
Yeah.
recognize in the moments when the arousal, that stress arousal is happening or that emotional addiction is getting fed, and your
Mhm.
ability to non-judgmentally observe that and then go to the body, not to the
Mm,
mind, right? It was
mm,
Einstein that said
mm,
you can't solve problems at the same level of mind that created
mm,
it, right?
mm.
And sometimes like I'll watch in sessions our beautiful students go up, like actually go look up, like as if they're looking up into their minds to seek the answers, right? And it's like, no, close your eyes, breathe, go down there.
So
Because
good.
right, truth doesn't live. As soon as someone looks at me, they're like, well, I'm like, stop. Nope. Pause. Pause. Right.
It's so good,
You like
right?
watch, you get to watch someone literally chase their own
You're like,
limited level of mind, right?
totally.
So it's so beautiful because when you go to the body, in my experience also, because I too wake up and have limiting thoughts. I too wake up and shit
Mhm.
happens, and there might be stress or concern or fear-based thinking that shows up. And I don't sit with it and I don't give it airtime. I
Yeah,
come to the floor in my office and I work that shit out of my body.
yeah,
And
yeah,
then
yeah.
I get up, whether it's 4 minutes or 25 minutes, and I cannot remember what the
What are
mind
we?
was offering.
Yeah.
Doesn't even matter.
Oh my God, it's so true. Like when I love how you said that. I don't give it airtime. Like, yes. When we don't give it airtime, we don't give it the mic. It's like this distant thing in the past, and then we work the body, work the body, work the body, work the energy, rewire those thoughts, like defend the thoughts that are coming in, and choose other ones. Then our the architecture of our energy just completely rewires, and we're like, wait, what? What happened?
Yeah.
What was I feeling?
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, yeah, I noticed that when, like, the luteal phase of my cycle, like, the last couple days right before I'm about to have my period, like, the thoughts in my mind, I'm like, "These are fucking crazy." And I'm like, all I need to do is just, like, wait a minute because it's gonna pass. But the second I give it energy or I entertain it or I ignore it, it's like if we ignore it, we store it, right? If I
Yeah.
ignore it, then then it builds momentum. It's like, no, homie, we want to build momentum in the direction of our goals and our dreams and our visions, not in the opposite direction.
Yes. Yes. Oh, I could sit here and just keep talking to you for hours, but I'm going to bring us to a close. And everyone, I'm going to make sure that everything that Sam and Pause Breathwork has to offer is in the show notes.
Yeah.
But two things: one, where is the best place to hang with you, like on social media? Where do you like to hang?
I would say my Instagram for all things breathwork is at Samantha Skelly. And from there, you can find Pause Breathwork. But come over and say hi. I'd love to meet you.
Yes, amazing. Okay, so here's my final question.
Yeah.
I'm going to invite you to close your eyes because I know your body's going to have the answer. And take a deep breath. And imagine that everyone in the world is attentive and excited and captively listening simply to you and what's about to be shared. What do you want everyone in the world to know the most?
That at any point in time, you can give yourself full permission to rise. You are the one, baby. You are the one.
That's right. We are walking miracles, aren't we?
Mhm. It's wild.
It
It's
is.
wild. This is just one big miracle, this whole thing.
Right? I know.
Yeah.
I know. It's like, don't ever lose the awe.
Yeah. Yeah. Ooh, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's funny. It's like people will say to me on Instagram, like, you're so childish. You're just like a big child. I'm like, yeah, that's because I'm like keeping it real, you know? Like I love being like, oh, this is exciting and this is exciting. Like I love that feeling. And I believe it. Like I believe that this world is magnificent and I believe that that awe, like every like this is it's a miracle, you know? It's like everything. Like even just being here, speaking with you and being able to share this conversation with thousands of people. That's a freaking miracle, you know? And
It is.
I just like, we can't take that shit for granted.
No, no, and that's part of the presence, right? That's part of real appreciation. That's part of living actually and
Mm,
actively with
mm,
being here right now and
mm,
recognizing the ordinary miracles like, oh my God, look, a bird's flying. Like what? Like how,
mm,
what is that,
mm,
right? Or the other day I looked out of my office and I saw was like a swarm, which is definitely not the right word, but a swarm of birds. Like there's so
mm.
many birds, and then more birds, and then more birds. And I was like, so amazing. How do they know this? How do they know where to go?
Yeah,
How are they all traveling in packs?
yeah,
Like this is
yeah,
amazing, right? Or just like
yeah.
every time I get on an airplane, still to this day, I'm like, what is this?
Why is this
How
in the
this
air? Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
how
yeah,
is this a hunk of metal with all these people? And
yeah.
I was in New York and now I'm in California. Wow. What? What is life?
Wild. It's so wild. Oh my gosh. I
It is.
know.
It
I
is.
know. I know. It's so wild. It's so beautiful. It's a beautiful thing, you know, and we're here for such a short amount of time. So why not just get acquainted with your soul on the deepest possible level and really make this thing a masterpiece and your masterpiece, your unique masterpiece. You're the creator of this beautiful thing. Go
Yeah,
have some fun.
that's right. I love it. I love it. I love you.
I
I
love
love this
you.
conversation. I love that we have matching tattoos and we didn't know. This day just got
How did
so
we
much better.
not know that last time we hung out?
I
That's
don't know. I
wild.
don't know. I don't know. I don't know. It just didn't come up, but now we
Oh
know
my
and
gosh,
we
now
get
we
to have that.
know.
That's our thing. That's
That's
our
our
thing.
thing. I love this for us so much.
Me too. Me too. Me too. I love you. Thank you for being here. Everyone, make sure you check out Sam, hang with her on Instagram, go to Proud's Breathwork. Every offer that Pause has is truly extraordinary, including the most phenomenal app that I am a user of. So check everything out. And remember to breathe.
Yeah.
Yes. Until next time, everyone, remember there's always more love. Mwah.